Welcome to Let's Chat. I'm your host, Nikki Luciano. I'm joined here tonight by Missy, Mason, and Desi. For those of you that are familiar with our show, thanks for coming back. We appreciate you. For those that are new to the podcast, welcome. I'm not, obviously, a professional podcaster, but we wanted to do something a little different here. We wanted to bring you, the listener, into our home and have you experience firsthand one of our family conversations at our table. At times there will be laughter, sometimes tears, and yes, even anger, but that's what family is: real, raw, and unedited. We're not always going to agree on everything, and that's okay, but we'll talk it out, hug it out, and pray for a better tomorrow. So, with that said, grab your fuzzy slippers, find a comfy chair, grab your favorite beverage and snack, and let's chat. All right. I'm sure by now everyone's heard about the slap that was heard around the world: Will Smith and Chris Rock. I think I'd like to start by giving my viewpoint on the whole thing because I have a lot to say. Um, when I saw, and I don't watch the Oscars or the Emmys or any of that other crap. The only reason I knew about it is because when I woke up the next morning, it was everywhere. It was in your face. Um, when I watched it back and I watched the whole thing, I couldn't believe that Will got up out of his chair. At first, I thought it was staged. I thought, okay, this is some kind of a skit, where he's going to get up there and they're going to play fight or whatever. But and I played it back several times. That smack was for real. And the first thing I'd like to say is, what guy slaps another guy? I just don't understand it. I've seen guys walk up and punch somebody, but I've never seen a grown ass man walk up and slap another man, especially over words. See, my grandma always lived by the rule for us kids: sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that are going to say, oh, he was defending his wife. That may be true, but there's a time and a place for everything. You don't sit there at an event like this where you're wearing thousands of dollars worth of clothing and get up and let your hood side come out. There's an adult way to handle it, and there's an unadult way, a childish way of handling it. And I give Chris Rock all props for the way he took that slap, okay? It was a hard slap. I know I wouldn't want to be slapped that hard. He recovered well. I mean, he didn't do the whole, where your head rolls back and you fall back on the floor and you lay there stunned. He, I think, in a sense, knew it was coming and he braced himself. And you could see the way he mouthed the words, and I know what he was going to say: I could knock you the fuck out right now. And I kind of wish he would have, but I'm glad he didn't. He handled it with class. And then Will Smith goes back to his chair and he sat there, and his entire ghetto side came out when he said, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. And then that wasn't bad enough. He had to repeat it again. And I condemn the board that gave him that award. That's like a participation award, if you ask me now. I mean, you act the fool. You sit here and you preach your whole career about love and acceptance and, being kind. Now I'm going to touch on Jada's hair. Not that I would, but if you have alopecia, I looked it up. They showed pictures. You have actual bald spots where it's down to the scalp, not this, if I buzz it down, nobody will be able to tell. The shorter you cut it, the more you're going to be able to see it. She doesn't have any bald spots where you can actually see her scalp. it's just a short women's haircut. And I think she's a beautiful woman. And to be having somebody call you, good luck with G.I. Jane 2, that would be an honor for somebody to say that to me, because I think Demi Moore was beautiful. She played the role well. She was a badass. And for somebody to say that to me, I'd be like, thanks, dude. I appreciate the compliment. No, she had to take it to heart, because if it's not the race card that she's claiming, it's somebody's picking on her. And it's sickening. She has so much to be thankful for, to be grateful to God for. Her lifestyle, her husband's career, her career, everything that she has, she should thank God and stop wasting and pissing away so much of your life on pettiness. Be grateful. Now, this is going to go down in the history books. I mean, everybody's talking about it now. There's memes everywhere. There's everything. And big deal. Will Smith apologized. That was the most robotic, and it sounded more like his lawyer wrote it, that apology. It didn't mean shit to me. It was like pass the butter. It wasn't personal. And if you do want to get personal, go on video. Do a live. Be like, show those tears that you did when you were accepting your award. And be for real and be like, Chris, man, I lost my head. I lost my shit. Whatever. But don't sit there and write out this robotic ass letter that looks like your lawyer wrote it. I don't know. Anybody got any input on this? No, everybody seems kind of fed up with hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm just sick of hearing about it. And the Oscars were they had this special tribute to the deaf community.
Yeah.
And they had this huge thing that they put on for them. Nobody's talking about that. They're talking about Will and Chris, which those are two people I could not care less about. They're rich, privileged people. Get over it.
They claim that they're oppressed and being held back by the white man.
Definitely look staged. Will and Chris were friends before it happened.
And they made up right after it happened.
They're friends in real life.
Yeah.
Chris apologized to Will and Jada and backstage, and Chris said right out, oh, here's those ratings that they wanted. So I mean, it was a publicity stunt.
I'd much rather hear about the deaf thing.
Yeah.
Than Will and Chris.
And they showed maybe a 5-second clip of what they were doing with the deaf community.
Even a deaf person won an award.
Yeah.
At the Oscars.
And you don't hear about any of that. That's all you hear about is Will and Chris, and I'm sick of hearing about it. People are sitting there dissecting it, and if you look at it, it looks like Chris was going to swing back. His hand went backwards. He got slapped.
Yeah.
And sorry, but if you were actually up there, if you were actually offended about what was said, you wouldn't slap him. Yeah. It's called a man slap. It's not called a man slap. It's called something else.
It would be the day that I would allow my husband to get up, much less in front of all those dignitary, distinguished celebrities, and act the fool. I would be like, boys, sit down or I'll show you anger. You don't get up and embarrass me in front of the whole community like that. I can defend myself. I don't need a man to defend me.
Jada just looked at him do something or I'll cheat on you again.
Oh yeah, she gave him that look like, Tupac would have shot him. You just sit here like a bitch and let him.
But she was laughing before she noticed the cameras were on.
Oh yeah,
just he thought it was hysterical too. Yeah, it's a comedy thing.
And people are saying if it was so hurtful what he was saying, why was everybody in the audience laughing about it? It's a joke. He got paid to go up there. every comedian that hosts one of those types of shows roasts people in the audience.
Did you ever go to a comedy show and sit there in the first 2 rows? You are open game. You're fair game for somebody to say something about you. And, you got to learn how to take a punch.
Especially if you're going to pay that kind of money to sit up front.
You're in Hollywood, you don't have thicker skin?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me nobody's ever said a bad thing about Jada before?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of material there that we could all play on, but I'd like to think that I have a little bit more class than that. Anyways, all right. On one of our previous podcasts, we talked about inspiration and motivation. And I've received so many Facebook messages and phone calls talking about how inspired people were by the show. I know my sister Marie called me and she was like, I just want to tell you how much you inspired me. I made some phone calls today regarding my own personal medical health, getting things going. And she also made some phone calls about going back to school and furthering her education. And I was pleased as punch. I mean, I am so proud of her right now, just from that phone call and finding out that she did what I suggested. Get off your ass, get off the couch, and start putting your best foot forward, A few other people say that it sounds crazy, but you really changed my life with that podcast, that one podcast. It made me realize how much of myself that I neglect. There's so many people out here that are people pleasers. They worry so much about everybody else's happiness and everybody else's hopes and dreams and sitting around being everybody else's cheerleader that they forget about themselves. And I mean, even my grandma Rose, I love her from here to eternity. She's been gone for, 40 years. And she lived her entire life around her children and her grandchildren, never did anything for herself, never traveled, never bought herself that, what do they call those, impulse gifts. Never bought herself anything on impulse. She lived very simply. She had a very simple home. She wore a very simple wardrobe. She wasn't flashy. Never boasted about herself. She was amazing, but she died without ever seeing any of her dreams through. She only took off of work when she came out to California to go on a vacation with us, where we'd travel around to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and Grauman's Chinese Theater and all those other places, the Wax Museum. But that was maybe twice a year that we'd get to see her. And it's a shame. More people should, especially look at the way the world is going right now. And you think, what am I going to leave behind? What am I going to, take with me to my grave? Something big, something epic, something that I accomplished, something that I always wanted and I got it, It may have taken me 10 years to get it, but I got it. You don't ever hear about anybody setting short-term goals and long-term goals anymore. It's just, that'll never happen. Have we become that negative in our society that we just don't think that anything is possible anymore? I myself have decided some of the classes that I'm going to be taking to, accentuate my writing. I want to get more skills underneath my belt, before I go back to my writing again. Like I said, my books aren't everybody's cup of tea, but it's what I want to write. I'm comfortable with it. And that's all I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it so that I become this overnight sensation, or same with these podcasts. I'm not a professional. None of us are professional. We're just inviting you into our home, to our dining room table, to, I don't know, talk to us and interact with us and be a part of our family. And my books are the same way. My books are my innermost thoughts. It's my soul that I'm opening up to other people. And if certain people don't understand that and they don't get it, well, I'm sorry for you, you know? I don't know. I mean, I have had a bad week. And it's going to be that way. You know, you're going to have bad days and bad weeks and bad months, but not everything is bad. You know, there's always a little bit, a little tweak of light in there somewhere, and you have to learn how to find that light. I'm finding it hard to motivate myself this week, and I'm not sure if it's the weather or the fact that the devil comes at you when you're at your highest point. I've had quite a few moments this week where I just wanted to strike that proverbial match and watch it all burn. And I'm sure everybody has days like that. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I never will feel sorry for myself. If I do have my 15-minute pity party, I get back up again, you know. Some of you may have seen some of my memes that I've dumped piles of memes on this week on Facebook. About ridding yourself of the toxic people in your life, the takers, the emotional vampires that suck the life out of you. Truth be told, if I actually did that kind of a purge, all I'd have left in my life is Missy, Mason, Desi, Haley, and Marie. I guess all I can do is limit what I allow in my life. I got to hold up that invisible stop sign so that when I'm feeling disrespected, unappreciated, or ridiculed, I can put a stop to it, you know? I need to remove myself from the immediate problem. I guess I just need to walk away more often rather than allowing myself to confront and attack. I'm in no way suggesting that anyone, not even myself, allow anyone to disrespect us. Just don't let it go that far, you know? Remove yourself from the situation before it snowballs. Now, I'm new to this whole mindset. Until now, if anyone disrespected me before, I was not hesitant to put a bitch in check, you know? I mean, I would put her in her place. I don't fear anybody. But I'm 59 now, and I don't need to catch a case. I mean, I'll do it, don't get me wrong. I'll rock that fucking orange jumpsuit, but I'm trying to prevent that. I just try to live by the serenity prayer, but sometimes the Holy Ghost leaves the building and leaves me to handle things on my own, you know what I mean? How about you guys? Did you, I don't know, find any kind of inspiration, or have you done anything to take steps for a better you?
I mean, I made phone calls for like medical stuff, but I mean, that all has to be put on hold for now anyways, so.
Yeah, I know. You told me about that, and I was very proud of you when you told me that, but I wanted you to be able to tell your own version. It's not that I'm more proud of one child than the other. It's just that you're here, you can tell your story.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to tell. Like, I made the phone calls, went to the appointments, and now I gotta wait.
But you have a different kind of scenario, and it's up to you to tell what it is, but I understand why things have to be put on hold.
Well, yeah, because there's only so many, like, the medical things that I need, they can't do while I'm pregnant, so it just has to.
I wasn't going to put
wait.
that out there that you're expecting.
Cute confetti. This is my announcement.
Missy's going to be bringing my 14th grandchild into my world very soon. Well, not very soon, but soon enough. She's itty bitty pregnant right now.
I'm almost 8 weeks. Let's not push it.
But you have such severe health problems. I mean, we almost lost you when you were pregnant with Mia.
Yeah.
And that's why, when you tell me, well, guess what? You're going to be a granny again. I don't burst out the cans of confetti and I don't jump up and down and scream like a banshee because I worry with each pregnancy. I worry. I think, oh God, this could be it. What if I lose my daughter?
I mean, they basically have everything. They know kind of like what to look for and how to stay like a step ahead of it.
Yeah, because Mia was the worst.
Mia was the first one. We didn't know I had any of these blood issues and just issues in general.
Pain in the side sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was my $1 million baby.
But after that,
there's always going to be, there's always going to be.
You have them 2 weeks early, but that's about it.
2 to 3 weeks, have to before the blood starts intermingling.
Having his own little puppies.
Yes.
Now, I will be the last one to judge you for the amount of children that you have with the health conditions because Tony, being my oldest, I had severe medical problems with that where my uterus ruptured and I had him 10 weeks early. He weighed only 2 pounds, 13 ounces and was 15 3/4 inches long. He stayed in an incubator for a month and a half. And in that time, I only got to hold him 4 times. So we didn't really bond like a mother and son normal, situation. And they told me not to have any more kids because they said my uterus was too weak. Well, here I am, 7 kids more later, all of a sudden here I have 8 kids and I am always that one that likes to prove doctors wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
I had an OBGYN quit and move out of state, so she had to have a nervous breakdown in another state.
But since that podcast, has your mindset changed?
On and off. I mean, everybody has their days where they're just like, F this, I'm taking a nap. I don't even care. House isn't clean. I don't care. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you have the other days where you're like, yeah, no, got to get up, got to get this done, got to do this. Like there's so many projects. And my problem is like I'll start a project and I get bored with it. So then I go and start another project and I get bored with it.
ADHD.
Oh, ADHD is running rampant throughout my head. But I mean, so I've got, 30 different projects at home that need to be finished. And I'm like, those don't sound like fun. I want to start a different project.
See, I'm out with schooling right now.
Yeah.
So I'm fun. Let's do something else.
Yeah, next chapter. I don't want to do this right now.
What about you, Mason? Anything that you'd like to discuss about your motivation and inspiration? You can go ahead and put it out there about, your temporary change of plans.
I mean, yeah, I'm thinking about finishing out the semester and going to EMT school for the summer. It's kind of been hard for me to get motivation lately.
But what our listeners don't understand is, and I need to remind some of them, Mason has a lot of medical issues that he's dealing with right now. He's got the high blood pressure of a maniac. He also has heart problems, and he had to wear a heart monitor for a while. And just during the time that he was wearing that heart monitor, the doctor, I almost said veterinarian. I'm thinking about my dog that's not feeling well right now. The doctor said right out that during the time that he wore that heart monitor, he had how many episodes?
There was one big one where my heart stopped for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, where his heart stopped for a significant amount of time. But there were several other episodes where, they have to question, was that another...
It jumped up to over 240 beats a minute.
Yeah, and then it jumped up to over 240 beats a minute. Now, they could consider that one of his possible heart attacks. He's going to be, what, you're going to be 23 next month?
Yep.
Okay, I forget sometimes with 8 kids. You're lucky I remember your damn name.
You don't sometimes. Oh.
I know.
I know. How many times have I called you Haley, or I called Destiny Haley?
Or she's on the phone with me and she's like, "Oh yeah, I told Missy the other day, I'm right here, Sonny." It's me.
But I mean, your medical issues, both of you, I can't believe I raised such sickly children, are perfectly understandable. I didn't expect you to turn around and become a rocket scientist tomorrow. So just because you're going to finish out your nursing classes for this semester, finish out this semester, then you're going to put it on pause. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do it when I'm cooking all the time. I put shit on the back burner and I'm like, okay, now I got to focus on this. Well, now you need to bring those EMT classes to the front burner. And then you've got another feather in your cap. And then I gradually go back at it. Nobody says you have to climb up this mountain and you got to jump off this fucking enormous cliff into the abyss. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Why can't you take a few steps and then take a break?
And I mean,
and your doctor said right out that you rushing through this and all this accelerated classes and stuff because you are so intelligent is just putting so much stress on your body that you're not going to make it through. You're going to burn yourself out.
she told me she didn't want me going to school.
Well, you know what? She's not your mother, and she's not your psychologist, and she's not your conscience.
Yeah.
She can say she don't want you to do whatever. If you're anything like your mother, you're going to be like, fuck you. I'm going to do it twice now and take pictures, you know?
I think from a medical standpoint is where she was talking
Yeah,
about.
'cause she
Yeah,
said
I know. I always have to be a bitch.
schooling is literally killing me, but I'm just going to slow it down a little bit. EMT for some people might be a step in a different direction, but I still think it's technically
Still a medical
step
field.
into
Yes.
the medical field.
It is still a
Still-
You're
medical.
still getting certification.
Yep.
There's that little letter.
And
you
it
gotta
gives
find
you
for it.
experience. That's why when you become, like, I was a CNA for 23 years. That's a certified nursing assistant. And I was the one, you know, doing all the daily cares for the senior citizens. I was the one, you know, changing colostomy bags, cleaning up their messes, feeding them, showering them, putting them to bed, getting them dressed, and talking to them when their family just dumped them off and wanted nothing to do with them and didn't come back. While the nurses were out there, you know, I respect nurses and they have a hard job, but I think CNAs deserve a lot more credit than we get, you know? And I think it's really a smart plan that the colleges make nurses do like a certain amount of time of being a CNA before they can become a nurse. And like with you, you get to see it from different angles now. You know, you're not just going straight into the nursing program and then into becoming the anesthesiologist that you want to become someday. You're going to see it from the EMT's point of view.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that's really a good plan because sometimes you get so caught up in your own job that you don't recognize the people under you and around you for what they do and what they have to tolerate.
And not only like the people you work with, but the people you work for, the
Mhm.
patients.
Yeah.
You know, having, and I was an EMT for a while, and you get to see like they're not just patients; these are real people, and you go into their homes and find them at their most vulnerable state.
Yeah.
And you are the first one that they depend on to keep them alive. It's your responsibility to keep them alive, to get them to the hospital so they can have like the surgery or whatever they
Yeah, you
need
gotta
done.
stabilize them before you can even load them in the ambulance.
Yeah.
When I went into the CNA field, I went in with the mindset that each of my residents was going to be treated like I'd want my mom or my grandma to be treated. And that's how I treated my residents. To this day, you could go back and talk to any of my residents, and I treated them,
They're probably dead.
not all of them, they weren't all old. I know I took care of this one guy. He was only in his 20s and he was in a nursing home because he had Down syndrome and he was blind and deaf. And I had to make sure he got all his daily cares because you didn't want to put him on the bus when he went to his schooling or to any of his treatments, being the stinky kid on the bus, you know? He couldn't care for himself. So he was totally dependent on what I provided for him. He ate before he left. He was washed and cleaned thoroughly before he left. And I'd always make him smile, you know? And he did the same thing for my heart. When you can put a smile on somebody else's face, that just rocks your day.
Yeah. Yeah, like Marie and I were talking today, like speaking of like putting a smile on someone's face. I think I was having just a blah day today. I was not in the mood for it. And so I dropped Delilah off at school, and our normal routine is we go to Starbucks, I get my coffee, and then we go to McDonald's and I get the other kids some breakfast. That's their little treat that they get. And for the past couple days, there's always been this one guy at Starbucks. And he's just, I mean, he's a character. And like he remembers every single person, their name, their order, everything, you know, and he's just, so I mean, just talking to him today kind of like lifted my mood for a little bit, you know, so having that around more often would be nice for the world.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to do these shows, you know, because we're not the only ones that are having suck-ass days sometimes, you know. There's other people out there, and I'd love it if more people would, you know, interact with us and know that we understand what they're going through. Not every day is going to be sunshine and lollipops, let me tell you. And if we're just nicer to each other, and if we take the time to talk to them and ask them, you know, hey, how's your day going? You know, I know most people are going to be like, yeah, fine, great, you know, living the life, babe. But I don't know, if you just keep it up, maybe someday that person's going to be, you know what? My day sucks. Excuse me. And then maybe they'll open up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not one of those podcasters that's going to get up here and talk about how wonderful my life is and, you know, I'm living the dream. And I was this and I was that and I did this and I did that. No, this is everyday life. I mean, I couldn't get any more real if I tried. I've been married for 41 years. I have 8 kids, almost 14 grandchildren. You know, I've got dogs, I've got cats, and I'm a crazy person. I'm always doing these projects where I'll just get sick of a room and I'll tear the whole room down, drywall and all, and I'll start fresh, you know? I'm not out there to try to impress anybody. I just want to have real talk with real people who don't have to boast and, I don't know, be fake. I don't like fake.
My goal is to be more like Delilah when I grow up.
Why?
Because every day before school, like we'll walk in, she's got to hug everybody. Every kid she sees, she's got to hug all her friends. She sees anybody having a bad day, she takes them by the hand. Okay, let's go to school together. Stay by me today. And then before she leaves from school, she's got to hug every single person again. Like, that's just her thing. She's like, bye, have a good night. And, you know, like, she doesn't care if she has to run across the playground. She doesn't want that one kid to feel left out and not getting a hug. So,
well, that's a nice, I hope she hangs on to that, you know, disposition.
yeah. I mean, even the new girl in school, I mean, she got one of Delilah's hugs the other day. She got initiated quick. There's no escaping Delilah's hugs.
No. Well, she kind of got that from me before I had to, I guess, harden myself. I was very open to people and hugged everybody I met. And I mean, to this day, I can't go anywhere without striking up a conversation with somebody. And I know that if I touch one person's life, that's good for me inside too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's Delilah's thing, because she was having a problem with one of the students in her class. And I said, you don't know what's going on at home. You don't know, anything. So kill him with kindness. Be the nicest person you could ever imagine to be. Turn that child's life completely around at school. And now she's got to hug everybody. And I asked her the other day, I'm like, let's, because I was just irritable. And I'm like, okay, let's just go. It's cold. It's raining. I just want to go home. She's like, well, I can't let so-and-so go without a hug. I'm like, why? What's the big deal? You're going to see them in like 12 hours.
But
Like, let's
you?
go. She goes, well, you don't know. That might be the only hug they get.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, go hug the freaking kid. Give him a hug for me too.
And that's the truth. If you had to think before you ever spoke, like if I'm talking to you and what I say is going to carry home with you. Now, God forbid, but if anything would happen to you or anything would happen to me, I don't want those last words to be a scar,
Yeah. And that's why I feel bad in the morning sometimes, she's just being her pokey little self. I'm like, come on, Delilah, let's go, and you start like raising your voice and losing your temper. But I'm like, then you drop them off at school. Haley and I just had this conversation the other day. You drop them off at school and you're like, what happens if this happens at school? What happens if this happens at school? What happens if this happens while I'm on my way to get her from school? The last thing she hears is, Delilah, get in the car, we're freaking late. That's the last thing she's going to hear from me?
Yeah.
No. So like we try to keep it positive and upbeat in the morning, but I mean, we're human.
I'm going to be for real here. Raising you kids, I was a very strict parent. I didn't let you kids get away with any shit. Only because how you act reflects back onto me.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all got your share of spankings.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all did. And I would always feel guilty after I spanked you.
Yeah.
And you guys would be in bed at night, and I'd make my rounds and make sure everybody was in bed and safe and covered up. And the one that got spanked, or the ones that got spanked, I'd always sit by your bed and cry.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to be, the last thing you remembered.
Yeah.
Or I remembered.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how do you think, getting back to Will and Chris, how do you think Will should have handled it?
Like a man, quietly behind closed doors, behind the stage after the show's over.
Yeah.
You just stole the attention from so many different people. And now you put a tainted name on that great movie that you made.
Mm-hmm.
Now nobody's going to be able to see that movie well thinking about like, oh, that's the movie that he won.
Or see him in anything.
Well, there's many people that are boycotting Will Smith altogether. They said they will never watch another single one of his movies, listen to one of his kids' so-called songs, watch his wife on any of her so-called TV shows.
Yeah.
They just boycotted the whole Smith family.
Well, his children are all a bunch of ungrateful, self-entitled, spoiled brats.
I mean, you could say that about a lot of Hollywood's kids.
Yeah, but a lot of Hollywood's kids don't sit there and talk about how they're being oppressed.
It's just the cool thing to do right now.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Do you think that Chris Rock was wrong?
No.
He
You're
got-
a comedian,
yeah.
and he was hired to do that.
I was
And
watching.
he literally, 2016,
Yeah.
he said about Jada, oh, Jada wants to boycott the Oscars. That's like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Yeah.
Basically saying she had no place being there.
Yeah.
She's not a big movie star. She's not anybody. She's
Yeah.
riding Will Smith's fame and anything else she can find on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from what I've heard on, different shows like TMZ and stuff like that, this isn't uncommon or uncharacteristic of Will Smith. I guess he's been slap happy. This isn't the first person that he's just walked up and, mollywopped with that open
But I
hand.
mean, like, you're Will Smith. Why are you slapping people?
Yeah.
It's not called the man slap. It's called the bee slap.
Right.
So yeah, that must mean that you're a bee going around slapping people.
Yeah.
Like if you were honestly offended about it, I'm sorry, you would have rocked Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
And I'm sorry, but like we were talking about before, Chris Rock doesn't look like he's much.
No. He's ripped underneath that
Yeah,
shirt.
take off that shirt, boy. Mm-mm. You have all those housewives all hot and bothered because, I mean, that's his life is being physically fit. He is strong. He's not just, and because people are like, oh, well, muscle, like having a six pack doesn't make you ripped. Honey, he's got like an 18 pack going on. Like his muscles have muscles.
Yeah, for sure. And they say, dynamite comes in small packages.
Yeah, watch out for those little ones, right, Desi?
Yeah, Desi's like 5 foot nothing, and she's a spider monkey. And Will Smith, I mean, it just makes him look like a bitch.
Yeah.
I
mean, and
Chris Rock could actually take Will Smith's ass. He could hand it to him.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Will Smith has definitely been living off of his name and not looks anymore.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. He's a good-looking man.
Facial
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah, but if he takes off his shirt, he looks like the Grinch.
Yeah. I love the Grinch.
And he's funny. I loved him up until he got with Jada Pinkett Smith. I mean, I was an avid watcher of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
And even like his movies, like The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
I loved that movie.
Or what is that other one that I
Pounds.
just watched the other day again, because I watch his movies all the time. The one where the three actors come in and they pretend that they're love, death, and what the frick is the name of it? Look it up real quick. You got a phone in your hand.
It's actually in his mouth. Oops.
God bless America. What is the name of that?
I mean, he's very talented, but
Mason is quickly typing away on his phone trying to find out his movie. I mean, it was a wonderful story. It really was. And I'm going to give it to him. He is a damn good actor.
but that performance they gave at the Oscars was not the best. I mean, they were both smirking. If you look at some of the
Collateral Beauty.
Yes. One of my favorite movies. And what is the other one with the jellyfish?
SpongeBob?
oh no,
No, that's the one where his wife and kid died in a car accident. And he kills himself by taking that
7 pounds.
7 pounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, we said that.
We said that one 2 minutes ago.
Well,
Yeah.
I was talking. I can't
Oh,
hear
we
you
know.
when I'm
Oh, we
talking. But like I said, he's a great actor. I just think this was a real bitch move. And
On whoever's part, because I'm not fully convinced it was real yet.
oh, I am.
I'm not.
I
Because
am.
you could see him walking up, and he was smirking on the way up, and Chris
Because
Rock was kind of
Chris
like
Rock-
laughing.
Yeah, he said, Richard, that's the part that he plays in his movie,
Richard.
Yeah.
King Richard. There is no way Chris Rock was expecting this for
But
real.
also, Will Smith walked away laughing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also, I
it
mean,
was a smug, cocky laugh. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
showed
If
him.
it was real, it was very middle school.
Yeah.
Elementary school girls.
For sure, 12-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it back to the playground girls.
And
you know?
I mean, supposedly Will Smith hit him really hard, like swung his head. Why didn't Chris Rock's feet move?
Because he's built like a ton of bricks.
And he braced himself once he saw that arm draw back.
He didn't move once he saw the arm draw back.
No, you
He
don't
stood
have to.
there.
Like when I told the whole story of how that gang of girls, when I was a teenager, surrounded me.
Yeah, but at least you move your footing. His feet were still like.
Oh no,
planted
girl!
next
I
to each
didn't move
other.
my feet. I braced myself.
Yeah, I mean that's bracing yourself is moving your feet.
Not always. Sometimes you just stiffen that spine up, and
then you get more wobbly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I'm not sold that it was real.
Well, everybody's gonna have
Because,
differences of
first of all,
opinions.
Okay, say Machine Gun Kelly hit Chris Rock for saying something about what's her face. There would have been 50 freaking security guards on that stage.
Mm-hmm. He'd have been arrested.
Yep.
Chris Rock decided not to press charges though.
Yeah.
Chris for his
So
own
far.
personal.
So far.
But the
I don't think
Academy.
he can go back and file.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a statute of limitations.
Yes.
He also he already denied.
Well, yeah,
placing
but
charges.
also the Academy is doing nothing about it.
The Academy, because what's her name? Whoopi Goldberg is on the board for the Academy.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, Chris Rock doesn't think it's bad enough to press charges, so we're going to let him keep the award. We're not going to press charges.
But
Nobody's saying he's not invited next year.
Isn't that rewarding bad behavior? I mean, they want to act like little children, little toddlers having temper tantrums.
Time out.
I think the board should act like they're caregivers, and put them on a timeout.
And take away your treat.
Yeah, and especially because like Will Smith, there's how many young black men that watch him, idolize him, mock his every move. Now they're like, oh, well, you say something bad about me, I can slap you, and there's not going to be any repercussion about it. You can't do nothing.
I am going to say if a white guy would have walked up, if that would have been anybody.
That's why Missy said if it was Machine Gun Kelly slapping Chris Rock, there would be charges.
Just like
there would be more than that. There would be an uprising.
somebody will have to do the research on it because I just find that just faintly like saw something about it. Clint Eastwood was actually tackled and held back by security guards at the Oscars. I believe it was Clint Eastwood, because of something about the indigenous people, not, like being like dehumanized on TV and stuff like that. There was some situation that happened. Security was right there holding him back and dragging him out of the awards ceremony. So if they're going to do that to Clint Eastwood,
they better not
whoever
put
it
their
was,
hands on my Clint
this was a
Eastwood.
long time ago, but
I want names. Oh.
now he can walk all the way up that stage, slap him, walk all the way back to his seat.
Nobody suspected that he would go out of character.
It is security's job to assume the worst.
But he's a celebrity. He's a comedian. They probably thought it was all part of a skit.
No, because the security guards know what's a skit, what's
so
not.
They know who they're tasing.
Yeah.
I don't buy all that.
Well, they do, because otherwise you'd have so many people tackled at all these comedy shows.
Nobody ever suspected that Will would lose his fucking mind.
On his way back, how come nobody even flinched? Yeah. Nobody even batted an eye. And then he gets to sit. No, goes right back to his seat, sits there, and starts spewing his ghetto.
Yeah.
And still nobody came up to him and said, hey, except for Denzel Washington came up and I guess gave him the fatherly talk. But Denzel Washington has worked with Will Smith on other projects. I forgot what project. But anyways, Denzel Washington was the only one that walked up to Will and told him hey, that was out of line.
I definitely think there was more to it than just the comment about G.I. Jane 2. I think there's something else that was brewing between Chris Rock and Will Smith if this was indeed a real fight, and I believe it was, but for those who are questioning it, I do definitely think there was more to it than just that, because, you know, somebody could say something about my husband, you know, being, you know, losing his hair and, oh, nice solar panel you got going there, Pops. And I'm sorry, but I'm the person that will have a comeback for you, you know?
A comeback is one thing, resorting to violence
Yes,
as a celebrity figure.
Yeah. I mean, if you were in your workplace, okay, let's say you're working at a hospital as a CNA or a nurse or a doctor, and another doctor or, you know, member of the staff walks past you and says, yeah, you know, blah, 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 says something about your character or your looks or something. You're not going to full throttle have a fist fight there in the hospital.
No. If anything, you say it when you're off the clock so you don't get fired for it. But I mean, that's
one way of handling it. You know, there was a lot of guys. I watched a lot of guys on my Facebook page today defending Jada and being like, that's what you do for your wife, you or your girl, you know.
But if you're in that situation, you're always told to walk away. Why didn't they pick up their $5 million outfits off the chairs that they were sitting on? That probably cost more
and storm out. You'd still get a reaction. You'd still make headlines.
They'd be like, oh
Will
my
Smith
God.
and Jada Pinkett Smith walk out of the Academy Awards because of Chris Rock's comment.
Or even, you know, if you have to, flip them off.
Yeah.
And then walk out. Grab your goodie bag that you get full of all your millions of dollars worth of stuff and walk out.
Or you wait until it's your turn for your speech.
And then
you throw your dig.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you meet them backstage, man to man, be like, hey, what you said wasn't cool.
Now bring in security.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't talk about my wife again, or this is going to go another way. Like,
yeah.
Talk like men.
Dude, that was really uncool.
Yeah.
That was really uncalled for. My wife has supposedly alopecia, which, like I said, more than likely she doesn't.
But I mean, she needs to get off of riding the fence too. Like, either you're offended by it or you're not. Don't sit there and be on whatever interview and say, you know what, I don't care who likes it or not. I'm bald, I'm beautiful. If people don't like it, they can F off.
Yeah.
And then literally go to the show with a freshly shaven head. You could have bought a wig. You could have got a scarf.
Yeah.
You could have stayed home. You're in the front row. You're a target. Everybody was getting picked on that day, not just her.
When you become a celebrity, it's a volunteer thing. There, you know, you weren't drafted.
And I'm sure worse things have been said.
You're not a prisoner.
Worse things have been said about her on the internet, in tabloids.
Yeah, how about her whole entanglement thing? How about her, you know, dating or just boinking her son's, you know, friend? There's so much material people could have used against her.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I'm sorry, but I think her nickname should be Skippy because she's spread and ready. You know, I think she's a low-class piece of garbage, and that's my own personal opinion.
She's also a narcissist.
Very much.
You know, and if this is all happening out in public on a very publicized show, millions of people watching, thousands of people in the audience, imagine what happens behind closed doors.
Oh, yeah. You know, she wears the pants in the family. Well, when she's wearing pants.
Yeah. But people are saying, you know, like, if Will Smith acts like this in public, imagine how he acts at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and people can throw around accusations all they want. Nobody's there behind closed doors, but I mean, we can only judge you on what you put out there.
I think that was his only, you know, only thing that he had control of in his life. He decided he was going to get up and he was going to take action because when he's at home, he's under her
I don't
rule.
think it was his. If it was real, she was laughing at first, then she saw the cameras on her and she like shifted uncomfortably and like rolled her eyes and looked at him like, you better do something.
Yeah.
I'll step out on you again. Do something.
Yep.
So I honestly, if it was real, I don't think
He wanted to do it.
wanted to do it, and that's why he didn't like charge up there. He like just casually strolled up there.
Yeah.
If you were mad about something, you are gonna charge up there. You are not gonna be like taking your time and strutting your
if I'm
stuff
going
and
after
fixing your
somebody,
suit. And
no, I'm going at them like a full speed locomotion.
and my mouth would be running just
Locomotive.
along with my feet. Like you're gonna know what's coming.
Oh yeah. And I'll always warn a bitch before I come for them. You know, I am not that kind. I don't, play sneak attack and hide around the corner and wait for a bitch.
Or even like Chris Rock, makes that joke. Will Smith could have been like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
And then made it awkward for everybody. But I mean, how awkward was it for?
Did you see the woman sitting on the right side of the screen with the black hair all done up in a fancy do? She had a look on her face like, oh God, oh God, oh God.
I knew I should have stayed home.
Don't let him act a fool on me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've talked that subject to death. Hopefully it dies out sooner than later. Anybody want to add anything?
I also think that this is a distraction from what's going on politically.
Oh, yeah. Everything is.
So I mean, that's another thing people need to, keep an eye on that story, whatever. It's entertaining. It's funny. Ha, ha, ha. But I mean, what's still going over in Russia? And that whole situation. We haven't heard anything about it because we hear about Will and Chris now.
Why do you think these celebrities get paid so much money? It's their job as entertainers to keep the John Q public blindsided, keep them so distracted that, a bomb could go off in their backyard and they wouldn't know
They'd
it.
be like, shh, keep down.
Miley's on.
I'm watching Will slap Chris again for the 5 millionth time today.
Oh, did you hear about Mel Gibson? Oh God, look it up, the exact name of it. It's like, kind of like dementia. His family just announced publicly, and it's all over the news, that he is suffering from this and he will no longer be in movies or anything like that. Aphasia.
Phil Collins also retired too. He did his last show. He said that he goes, darn, now I'm gonna have to get a real job. But like
Bruce Willis.
I'm sorry, it's Bruce Willis. I thought I said I have so many stars' heads. Okay, it's Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got so many celebrity names going through my head right now. Bruce Willis is the one, and I feel so bad for him. He was an awesome actor.
Yeah, he was
amazing. Funny as hell. I don't know how he put up with.
He was one of my childhood crushes.
But
he was one of my childhood crushes.
Oh yeah, gorgeous eyes and a damn good actor. I liked all the movies he was in. But I just thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention that didn't hear. It's a sad day in Celebrityville, I guess.
I mean, I wish he could still like go into like directing or something because he has a brilliant
aphasia though.
I don't know what it is.
It's a form, from what I read, could be a form of brain damage.
Yeah.
So it affects speech.
It affects his speech. He has a hard time talking now.
But I mean, directing, you can type out stuff. Point out your finger, be like, you, boom. Like people get the point, and that's I'm not saying that's what caused it. We don't know what caused his stuff, but I mean he did do a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah, there's so much technology that look at just what was his name, Christopher Reeves. He had a tablet, and he was able to. I don't remember if he blew into a straw or whatever. And
well, now they have like they're like smart boards pretty much.
That's what I'm saying.
And they can look at like a certain word and the computer will say it for them.
Yeah.
There's so many different things. And Mel Gibson has such
Bruce Willis.
Now you got me doing it. Bruce Willis has such an amazing mind and like creative side to him. A lot of those movies that he was in, he had a say on like the directing part and how it was going to go, and I'm pretty sure he directed some movies that he was in.
Yeah,
And his
It
movies
would
were
be
always
such a wonderful thing if somebody could figure out the technology to allow him to continue to be a part of a life that he loved.
or even if they could find out, like what part of his brain is damaged. And because I know in one of the shows I'm watching, she's going through like dementia and something else. I forget what she's going through. But there's medication that can help like prolong it from, like it's not going to heal the parts that are broken, but it's going to stop the broken parts from spreading into the healthy parts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I'm
medically,
sure he's got enough money that he's got the best doctors
Oh, yeah.
working on this, this best medical team he could get, I pray for the Willis family, and I pray for Bruce, It's always sad to see our icons fade away.
Yeah. Like even Clint Eastwood.
Oh my God, he's my baby.
If anything would happen to Clint Eastwood, I'd be an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
Don't say anything, because if anything happened to Clint Eastwood,
I'm prepared because he's like 90.
I thought you were gonna look up that he like passed away last year or something.
Betty
I'm
White.
like, don't make me cry on the podcast today, really. Like,
Look at Betty White.
oh yeah, we mourned her. We're still mourning her.
Did you hear that John Travolta adopted that little dog that they had at her some kind of a tribute thing to Betty White? Somebody was there from the place that she supported, and advocated. And John Travolta adopted that dog that they showed right on the, the award thing, or not awards, but the ceremony thing. I thought that was pretty amazing.
I mean, we're still mourning our Betty.
Yeah, that was really sad.
We have nights where we all wear Betty White pants and.
Did you see how beautiful she was when she was young? She still was beautiful, even up till the day she passed.
And she's a freaking firecracker.
Oh yeah.
She's the dirtiest old lady I've ever seen before in my life, but I mean, she was a firecracker. I know, right? Like.
Yeah, that's what I would have wanted for a second grandma, besides my grandma Rose.
Yeah, I always said she was my grandma.
I think she was America's grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like people my age, Mason and Desi's age, that was grandma.
Yeah.
And just seeing her on The Proposal.
Oh yeah, she was hysterical on that movie, The Proposal.
I remember I was like 6 years old. Mom used to watch Hot in Cleveland.
Yeah.
She was probably one of my first crushes.
Yeah. Hot in Cleveland.
Well, I liked, on Golden Girls, I liked Sophia the best. I don't like how Betty White always had to play the dingbat.
And I think she broke the mold from that, and that's why she came out and she's like, hey, I'm a dirty, perverted old lady, and this is the role I'm going to play, and if you don't like it, kick rocks. I don't care.
Yeah. I love Sophia.
Yeah.
Kind of because she reminds me of myself. Picture it, Sicily, 1929, and that's basically how I start my stories. I'm like, okay, picture this. I'm walking down the street, and, she was just somebody that I could click with,
The only one I like on there's Betty White, and that's just because she's Betty White.
I didn't like Dorothy.
No.
I mean, in my mind as a child, I always thought she was a transgender.
Yeah.
For sure. A little bit. Even before we knew what transgender
Not that I have anything against transgenders, so don't send me hate
mail. But back then,
she's a manly woman.
she could hold her own.
Yeah.
And then Blanche, the
Southern whore.
Yeah, the hoe. And she was proud of being a hoe.
Very.
And she thought she was so beautiful.
Her hair is what annoyed me.
I think it's her face.
She looks like Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
And how she always claimed she had this fabulous figure. Girl, I've seen bigger fried eggs.
I mean, they were older women, so I mean, go you. But no but.
Out of all of them, Rose was, Betty White was the prettiest of the whole group.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I don't know, we're just biased for her because we just love Betty. Who doesn't? So, I mean.
See what I mean? This is why I invite the listeners into our dining table so that they
You can become
be,
Betty Pants with us. Oh.
they can be a part of our family. We opened our doors, the microphone, and we're welcoming you in. And we
don't really come in our house.
No, don't. 'Cause I'm armed, locked, and loaded. Kidding. But not. But I like to share with people, and I like to hear other people's stories and hear their viewpoints. Like I said earlier, as a family, we don't always agree.
Like the whole Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Yeah, you think it's a setup or a what do you call it? Publicity stunt. And I think Will meant business because Jada told him to,
I mean,
I think both sides are a very big possibility.
Yeah.
Everything you said tonight is pretty valid.
I'm not sold either way. And I wouldn't put either scenario past them.
Yeah,
so,
I really don't care.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think I really give a fuck what either one of them do? I mean, they're both pretty nice people. I guess Will Smith has a really great book. And everything that I've read about his book, he's a nice guy.
He's very charitable. He's very generous.
Yeah. I know it's in the family too. But so is Chris Rock.
Chris Rock is by far the superior of the two with personality. He doesn't treat cast members like garbage. He doesn't. What people don't know is I think it was the first mom on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh yeah, he
got her fired. Got her fired, and said, "If you ever hire her back, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
So I mean that was when he was like a teenager, 20s maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna act like that and be that egotistical, I can only see how it's snowballed into adulthood and how his career has grown.
Yeah.
And none of his cast members ever come forward and be like, "Oh my God, Will was such a great person to work with, blah, blah, blah." Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Chris Rock, which odd couple from...
It's like Mutt and Jeff from back in, my mom's day.
But they're like best friends.
Yeah.
They cannot talk highly enough about each other because, Chris is just like a down-to-earth. He knows where he came from. And he knows at any second Hollywood could send him back down to where he came from.
Chris Rock and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are freaking hysterical to watch together.
Yeah.
When they sit and banter and like dig at each other and be like, "Oh, what are you talking about, motherfucker?" Blah blah blah.
And that's how men should be able to handle something like that.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's friends with Chris Rock too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
I don't remember. They said that we're thinking about Chris Hart. Kevin Hart. Somebody.
Him too.
Bad names today.
Yeah.
Him too. He's another one. Funny as hell.
Oh, he's freaking hysterical.
Like
I'd love him as a best friend.
Don't.
Just saying. My short little pocket best friend, but he'd be my best friend.
Don't take what a comedian says to heart.
They're doing what they're paid to do.
Yeah, they're paid to insult people.
He was paid to go up there because otherwise it's going to be a 3-hour-long snooze fest, even for the people that are there. Like,
his career revolves around insults and comedy.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, now if he were a priest and he got up there and said some shit like that, then it would be a questionable remark, And
or even if he was like, a director or a producer or something. And get up there and be like, "Hey, guess what?" Then people be like, that was cold. Yeah, that.
And how do we even know that Chris Rock knows a damn thing about Jada's hair?
He didn't.
That's what everybody is saying is like.
He had no clue because it wasn't like a public thing.
No, she didn't come public. Ago. Yeah.
He probably doesn't watch her on the round table or the square table or whatever the hell she does.
Chris Rock. I am done.
Chris Rock
doesn't play in with the media. He doesn't do Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff. He doesn't follow all these people and all their stories. And actually,
it's not relevant anyway. So her coming forward with alopecia isn't news to anybody. Nobody cares.
90% of people that are commenting about it didn't even know she had it. People are like, well, why are people upset? Oh, she has this and blah, blah, blah. It's not a life-threatening disease. It's not like she has cancer and he's like, hey, Baldy, guess what?
Yeah.
She has alopecia. Buy a wig. You're a freaking millionaire.
And like I said, I
Get
don't
over yourself.
buy. In fact, I'm not even renting the whole alopecia bullshit.
No.
Because look up alopecia. It will show you, I looked it up, pictures of people
I
that
know
their
people that
hair,
have
it looks
it.
like it's burned down to their scalp, you know?
They get sores on their head too.
Yeah.
So I mean, where's there any discoloration on your scalp at all?
I call bullshit.
Yeah.
I know I just banged on the table on that one into the mic. I'm sorry. But I call bullshit.
30 eardrums. Oh.
You know, Will might buy all your other stories, but I'm not even renting.
You know
this
what?
one.
They want to find receipts and, you know, show your receipts for everything. Well, Jada, find a legit doctor that's going to come forward and say, yeah, this is
not
what she
one
has.
that you paid to say something.
Yeah, which, I mean, you'll never get that from her because she is a lying skank anyway. So, I mean, even if she would come forward with medical records, I wouldn't believe her.
No.
That'd be like Hillary opening up her emails. I don't believe you.
Right.
I don't believe you. I don't care. I don't know what you deleted.
Later, here they are.
Oh, look what I found cleaning out my
It only took me this long to type them up.
Yeah. I don't know what you deleted. I don't know who you paid. I don't know who you had offed.
Because
You know?
I don't care who you are, what class of people you come from, you know, where you fit in on the status of finances. You can always find somebody or a way to bullshit your way through anything.
I need to find my people.
So don't come at me with, oh, I got receipts, because receipts can be faked, you know? And that same thing goes.
I mean, the more money you have, the more that it can be faked.
Yeah. Well, if you got friends in low places, you know, anything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at what was his name? Kevorkian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He got paid a lot of money to help people kill themselves.
Yeah.
You're not talking about these average Joes living in, you know, Muskego, Wisconsin.
Do it for sympathy, you know. Oh,
No.
I feel sorry for you. Here's the.
You
here's
didn't
the
find
stuff.
people from Waukesha, you know, going to Kevorkian. It was people that had money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he wasn't doing it for free.
Anyways, let's get done here. I think that's about all we have for tonight. Be sure to join us every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Time for Supernatural Sunday, right here on my YouTube channel, and every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time for more of Let's Chat. Don't forget to hit the like button and the share button, and also subscribe.